Hey, I don't know. Did I tell the story on air about the kid who he messaged me and asked me and you too, I think, right? If we would help him or if we could be interviewed for a Dan Nainan documentary.
Oh, I don't believe we've talked about this now.
Robbie, do you know about this?
No, what are you talking about?
Okay. So this kid emails me, and I think he reached out to you on Twitter, right, or Facebook?
I believe he emailed me and he direct messaged me on Twitter.
And by the way, what you said, where you ranked it, he didn't dunk a basketball, that's in the documentary.
Yeah, because he wanted me to comment, and I said something funny, right?
It was funny, right? So
yeah.
He messaged me, said, "Hey, will you do this?" And I go, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." And then I started thinking, wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? Why would I enter back into this guy's world? And then I looked at this kid's footprint, and it wasn't very big.
You say kid, he's like a teenager or something,
I
right?
think,
or 20?
When I see his picture, he seems like, I don't know. We can ask him, right? But
he's a young man.
He looks young, right? And he said, "Hey, will you do this?" And I thought better of it, and I go, "Hey, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but the more I thought about it, this doesn't really sound like something that I'm interested in because he can be particularly, venomous."
And we haven't heard from him in a while.
We haven't heard from him, right? So it's, we moved on. And if it was interesting, yes, but it's a little terrifying to have him upset with you, right?
Yes. It's exhausting.
So I don't think about this. He came back and he asked me a question, and I answered it, and he said, "Can I use that?" And I go, "Absolutely, sure. Go ahead and use it," right? So he messages me on Saturday, and he says, "Hey, just thought you might want to know. I've done the documentary. Here's the link to it." And I look at it, and it is fucking awesome.
Really?
Dude, I kid you not.
How long is it?
It's like 38 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's so good and well done. And I don't know if that's the kid who is voicing it. I'm not sure about that. But because it sounds like a guy who's older than him.
Right.
So I watched, I'm like, man, this is really good, right?
It's on YouTube?
Well, we'll get there. It was on YouTube, right?
Oh boy.
So I gave it to, by the way, Justin saw it. Justin's like, wow, that's really good. By the way, this kid did another documentary about this guy named Frank. His last name is Dux, and he's the one who started the Kumite, the karate Kumite or whatever.
Not the comedy competition that I'm 1-7 at.
Yes, not that. Yes, you're like the guy who played Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds who got killed in Bloodsport. But
thank you.
It's based on that movie. Bloodsport. Sorry, the movie Bloodsport is based on this tournament. This real tournament. And Justin goes, "Hey, I watched the Dan Nainan documentary. It's awesome. And then I watched this other documentary. It's excellent." And when I looked at it, it had like, it obviously just put it out. It had like 500 thumbs up. It had like 4 thumbs down. You
sent me the link. What's it called? The Worst Man in Comedy or something?
So I don't remember the name of it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I sent it to everybody, and then when people went to watch it, other than Justin, who got a chance to see it. But
I think it's called The Most Hated Man in Comedy.
Something like that. But none of you guys watched it in time to see it because currently, if you go to, I have the link. I guess it doesn't matter if I send it out. But anyway, I looked at the link. It now says, "Video unavailable. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Dan Nainan." Mm-hmm. So, and of course, I don't know what that means. I guess I don't necessarily understand what copyright means because, like YouTube, you're right. They can't you can't find like a Led Zeppelin song on YouTube, although I think you can. But there's certain people that it's difficult to find them on YouTube because they don't allow their intellectual property to be published. Robbie might know more about this. And I guess he used some of Dan Nainan's comedy, but that was
I don't think he has intellectual. If it's just some gig that he's doing, some corporate gig, there's video of it. I don't think that he owns the rights to that.
Well, it's funny because I messaged the kid, and I say the kid, who knows? He could be 35. I guess we're going to find out. Because I said, "Hey, do you mind if we call you?" And I feel bad. Here's why. Because when he asked for my help, I said no.
Now we want to talk to him.
And then I want to talk to him. He said, "No problem. He'll talk to us right away." So this kid, I say kid. By the way, he's from Canada.
Are we in this thing? Are we featured?
We are all. I'm in it more than you, but we are all over it. They talk about him wanting to fight me to the death. There's clips from us on the Mike O'Mara show. There's clips from us on the on 98 Rock talking about it. There's clips from me on Nobody Like Onions when he interviewed. That we're all over.
Is there
this
anybody
thing.
from the Isle of Man as our guest from the Isle of Man?
No,
interviewed?
but they talk about when he wanted to fight me on the Isle of Man. They talk about him punching the guy in the face. They show all these things about all the contradictions in the different articles and all this stuff. I mean, it's really, I think the reason that so Dan actually later on, and you'll see this at the end, he goes on to this show where he is actually himself. And that's a guy who's struggling with criticism and not really being his real self. And he's on this panel with 3 different psychologists or whatever. Now, he still can't exactly make himself vulnerable. He still doesn't kind of really come clean.
He doesn't 100% commit to the truth.
No, he doesn't. Right, he doesn't. But you do see that he's kind of like, okay, well, here's where I am now. So how do I make this successful? And so you see this trajectory where it goes, and it's really, really good. But, of course, now it can't be seen by anyone. And I'm wondering, I guess we'll talk to the kid. So I gave Robbie his phone number and his Skype. So I guess what we'll do is we'll reach out to this kid, and then at the other side of the break,
let's take a break. We'll take a break. We'll try to come back and reach the man behind the Dan Nainan
I'll stop
documentary.
saying kid. That's probably rude.
Be right back.
The Rob and Joe Show.
All right. So, do you have this? Do you know his first name?
I think it's OKI. Oki.
Oki. So let's give him a call on Skype here.
He's waiting for our call. Oh, there you go.
That's right. I'm not a kid, guys.
Hey, nice.
I'm listening.
How old are you, bud?
I'm 27.
Okay.
I look really young. So I'll go to, we have LCBO here, right? Like that's the beer store we can't get at convenience stores. So they'll always ID me, because I look like I'm 16, but I'm 27.
Yeah, but what's the drinking age in Canada? Like 12?
I don't know. It's 19. So it's a little bit. I think it's 21 in the States, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we're also old, so
You've been drinking for a long time here.
So
can I ask this real quick? Was that pretty accurate, the way that I built it up? I treated you unfairly, so I want to apologize.
I was actually kind of thrilled that you watched it to the end. So you saw that, because I was actually quite proud of that ending. Once I found that clip of that Daily Helper, the thing where he goes on the show with the psychologist, it really just blew me away. It felt like I was in the 4th dimension for a second there. It's like, how does this thing exist? And Joe, you saw it, right? Like that was just crazy, the way that they grilled him, those psychologists, and they weren't accepting that he was saying, "Oh, I'm bullied," and that's just he was rationalizing all of his
100%.
misdeeds.
Yes, he found a way to still. It's justify isn't it, but you have to have some sort of escape hatch in order to behave this way. You can't just say, I'm a narcissist and I have horrible insecurity and I'm a pathological liar and a potentially psychopath, sociopath. You can't say that, right? So you have to say,
and not be sympathetic.
Right. So he still found a way to make himself into a sympathetic. By the way, everybody does that. That's not just exclusive to Dan. But it was kind of cool to see.
Oh, yeah.
But can I say this? If you really want to redeem yourself, you can't do that. You have to say, let me tell you something. I didn't feel very good about myself. And as a result, when people would come at me, my choices were either to accept their criticism, which I really couldn't. I wasn't built to do that,
right?
Or I could lash out, and I lashed out unreasonably, and I'm sorry about that. And the truth is that I was insecure about my comedy, so I got ultra defensive. So rather than try to say, all right, well, how do I gain these people's respect? I discredited them. There's a way.
There's no way he's doing that. So it's Oki? Is that how we're saying your name correctly? I want to get it right.
Yeah, it's like OKI. Oki.
Oki it is.
I'm not exactly sure myself because when I started doing these things, you were just talking about the Frank Dukes video, the Kumite video. That was just like a joke for me and my friends, and then it blew up. And I had these weird Japanese commercials in front of all of my old videos, which actually I unlisted them, and I just stuck. So I have this commercial at the beginning that says OKI.
Gotcha.
And that's I guess that's what I go by now.
How did Dan get on your radar?
Oh, because I saw the Nobody Likes Onions podcast on Reddit, R Cringe, probably like in 2017, I think. So I wanted to do this video actually last year, but then I held back on it, and I returned to it now. And yeah, now I'm almost like I'm kind of regretting it because now it's off, and I got a strike on my channel, which actually jeopardizes my channel.
Yeah, what happened?
Like, I get 2 more of those things, I can lose everything.
And well, hold on. So Rob,
Dan,
he said what happened, but also, can it be fixed? Can you? Because you don't want to because obviously it took you a long time to put this together. You don't want it to be for nothing.
it took 2 months.
I feel bad for not being a part of it because I'd love to talk about Dan, and it sounds like you're extremely talented. But
I'm adding this to it, the new one.
There you go. All right. Yes. So yeah. We'll talk to you when you do the next version. Now, is there something you have to take out that makes it legal?
Okay. So wait, are we on air right now?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, sorry.
is it still the part?
No, we are on the air, and I didn't say
Yeah.
I didn't say we're on the air because you asked me if it was going to be live in the emails, and I told you yes. But yes, you are on the air.
We can. This is just to our chat
perfect.
room, but when we put it up for download later, we can edit anything out if you feel.
Yeah, there's
if
something
you
you're
want us
not
to.
comfortable with that you said, we can edit it out.
Okay. No. That's perfect. That's perfect. Because like when I was listening to it, you guys were going on break. I heard a little bit of the music, then you guys called me, or maybe it was a Skype music. So I wasn't completely sure. And I have 2 friends recording this for me, so I can. But you guys, you're putting it out as a podcast. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So what was the last question? What can I do right now, and why did it happen? It was something along those lines.
Yeah. What was the
What do you need
legal
to edit
issue
out is
that
what they were asking.
What's the legal issue that he's claims violation?
Okay, so Dan can keep striking my video if he wants to. YouTube is very vulnerable to copyright trolls, or people who maliciously use the copyright strike system and abuse the copyright strike system. Like, for example, there's musicians who some random company in, wherever, Ukraine, they license a song using this person's music with some other vocals on it, and then they can just hold over the person who has like 65 million view video of their song, of their own music, because they licensed their music. And another thing, do you see? It's kind of complicated the way I'm putting it here.
Is Dan basically saying, hey, this is copyright infringement, and then YouTube, rather than, they don't have a team of lawyers to investigate your documentary, they just say, all right, well, we're not going to mess with it. If somebody complains, we'll just take it down so we don't have to worry about it legally?
They stay out of it. They completely stay out of it. So for example, I woke up to that strike, an email saying, yo, your video's down. The claimant is Dan Nainan. So then I go and I can contest that, and that's what I did. And I said, this is under fair use. This is just criticism and commentary. But that message I sent just goes straight back to Dan Nainan in 10 days, and it's up to him whether or not to allow it or deny it. And what I guess the only thing that he has that's solid right now is, yes, I used his comedy to show, and it was just in passing, and Joe saw the video too. It's like,
but it's also available for free public consumption. Does that matter? I don't know the law, but it seems like if you are
on like every single website, because Dan has a Vimeo, he has a Daily Motion, he has it's just hosted on every single website, and you can find it so easily. But for him, it's because I criticized him. So even if I re-upload this video without his comedy, without video of his comedy, he could take it down because I showed his website, because I showed his picture,
and he'll keep doing that.
I don't know exactly what to do.
Are you going to put it up on just your own website or another?
Well, that's what I'm thinking now, is that I'm going to have my own. Well, I have to. So this is a learning experience, because I'm not even doing this full time yet. This is something I that I'm doing now. I have around I think 12 or 11 videos so far, and I put them out pretty sparingly.
I think you should make Dan Nainan videos full time. That's your full time job.
And every time you get 10 views and then it's taken down. No, but what I would do is once it's up, let us know and we'll help you push it so people can see it. It's definitely worth seeing.
Absolutely.
It's definitely worth seeing. It's actually really, really, really well done.
And
by
we
the way,
know a lot of people that drive traffic to
100%. And the other thing that you need to know, Okie, is that if we didn't like it, we would fucking say it. Believe me, we spent a lot more time shitting on people than praising them. And it's God, it was really, really good.
I'm so sad that I didn't watch it yet.
Me, I was worried about that. I was like, oh shit, what are they gonna think? Maybe I fucked up some weird particular thing in the comedy industry. Like,
Did Dan know that you were going to do this?
That's awesome.
Did Dan know you were shooting this documentary?
Well, because your tweet is in it, Rob. Because I messaged you. I said I sent out a tweet with your name in it, and you answered back to me, and you said you gave me a list of things about Dan. I think it's something about
the dunk of basketball.
He doesn't make $350,000 a year doing comedy. He doesn't charter private planes, whatever. But yeah, so he saw that because I sent a tweet to everybody. Like anybody mentioned in that Nobody Likes Onions podcast. Like I had a list going. And there was also this other thing on his blog that I don't even think he knows he has anymore that I found, where it's just the initials. And I had to figure out who the initials were, and then I found Nick NM is Nick Mullen, and
yes.
AK is Andy Klein, and I was asking a bunch of people on Twitter, and so I was making enough noise that I must have popped up in his Google mentions, and because I'm so sure that he has Dan Nainan, just anytime someone types it into anything into their in a text message, he'll find out.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, the first time I ever heard of Q score, remember when he was shitting on us because our Q score wasn't high enough.
So, are you fascinated by him in a way? His craziness?
I think I might be a little bit on the spectrum or something, because I get into I'll find a certain subject and I have to know everything about it, so that that's just what I do. And that's what I've done since I was a kid. So it's kind of easy to start with these YouTube videos.
I like it.
Yeah, but
so Dan Nine is just something that I one night I stumbled upon that podcast on Our Cringe. I watched that, and then I looked up every single thing I could find about him. And especially when I was making this video as well, I returned to it and I combed it out and had documents upon in my Google documents. But yeah. It's just the way I'm inclined is I just gotta.
Yeah, but that's not exclusive to you, because it is fascinating, and it's almost you're not a serial killer, but there's a reason that all those movies are successful, because this type
shows and books,
outlier behavior is fascinating, and to watch somebody to this degree behave in the manner that he has, it's clearly. It's also a story that you don't see. There are people that kind of fake it till you make it. That's a normal thing. We actually know people like that, but not to this degree. And also, what's unique about him is usually people faking it till they make it don't have funds.
Right.
So he was backed by whatever, and who knows if his family was providing the money. Probably. What else is he going to do? But he had money in order to whatever he was, and he also was smart enough to figure out how to get exposure. Yeah, because first of all, he definitely looks younger than he is. That's the truth.
Yes.
So that's part of it.
Yeah.
In addition to that, he knew all these different mechanisms to insert himself in these periodicals like the Wall Street Journal and Forbes and all this stuff. But, it's almost like there is a different level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Look, you'll tell a story and maybe you'll exaggerate it because you want to impress the listener. Some people might do that on air, right, to make it funnier or whatever, or on stage. But you do have to understand, if you're going to the Wall Street Journal and saying you're 35 and you're 55, you're running a risk that's way bigger than you saying somebody was angrier than they actually would in a story that you're telling, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like the consequences never, ever entered into his head, only how do I drive my exposure? And it didn't matter. He could be in Better Homes and Gardens talking about, how to plant peppers. Do whatever, right? There was one time when he's a Christian, and then another one he's an atheist, and
he's learning to play guitar. He's a great musician.
And it's like
he's dunking basketballs.
But then I figure if you're smart enough to be able to make it into all those different vehicles, you would be smart enough to realize, oh shit, this house of cards is going to come toppling down one day. And that seems to be, I guess, the narcissism or whatever that he.
Yeah, that's where it gets. That's where he shoots himself in the foot. And when I was looking up narcissism a lot while making this, and that is the lack of foresight is really telling. Where it's everything's about this moment, and everything's about present appearances and what people in this moment think about you and how you. So it almost doesn't really matter to him that he's lying in all of these to all of these different people, because I guess he's missing the remorse, the guilt, something, and he's just so in the now rather than, I don't know, looking at himself.
This is what I would do, Okie.
But yeah.
Because we've always said that a Dan Nainan documentary would be fascinating.
Yeah, and it is.
So you've got the ball rolling.
Guy, yeah.
I think you need to take a step back and maybe try to find some funding, whether some bigger wigs in the documentary, film industry, and try to make this a 2-hour thing, and try to get some famous people attached to it that can speak to this. Because I think he is a subject that I think. On Netflix documentary, people would watch that, and it would be fascinating. And you've done the hard part. You've got it rolling. You clearly have 30, 35 minutes of great footage.
And there's a lot of things that you may not know that you've missed. After he punched that guy in the at the DC Improv, do you know he was on the Tony Kornheiser show the next week?
You might not know who that is, but
No, well,
he's a co-host.
I have the clip for you if you need it.
He's a co-host.
Okay, send me down Skype.
Sorry, pardon the interruption. Which basically it invented the new form of how news is broadcast, and to some degree, right? Pardon the interruption. It created that little. Menu that's on the side, and I mean, it was revolutionary, and him and Mike Wilbon are the hosts, and Dan Nainan was on his show talking about punching that guy. And of course, even then, Dan didn't get himself. So you'll hear that when you're on there, because Tony Kornheiser was building him up as a hero, because finally somebody stood up to these bullies,
Yeah, he was spinning it that he stood up to the heckler or to the guy tweeting negative things.
Well, that's how Tony Kornheiser did it, but then...
Which is incorrect.
Dan was afraid of a lawsuit, so he was just so remorseful and apologetic because, he was faced with a reality. So then you didn't even get... Even what he wanted was to be viewed in the way that Tony Kornheiser was viewing him, and he couldn't even enjoy it.
I think you go big, Okie. You make this a 2-hour thing, and then we have the world premiere at the Isle of Man. A big, huge view.
I can't go to the Isle of Man.
Yes.
What if Nainan shows up?
Hey, even better.
He'll come behind you and
yes.
ship you.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Let's keep in touch, and anything we can add in the future to help this, or send people your way, or point them to wherever your people can see this on your website. Just keep us posted. And, of course, when the podcast comes out, we'll hit you up. Thank you, Okie.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take care, Matt. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good dude. I liked him.
Oh, no, he's awesome. Yeah. And, by the way, I'm going to give you his email because I need him to send you that documentary so you can watch it.
I need to see it.
Because, oh, man, it's really good. But you will see that there's a lot left out that we know about.
Well, I mean, even if we remembered everything, there's still stuff that we forgot.
I keep forgetting. I mean, we'd have to go back and listen to all of our episodes even to try to remember everything. You did that show with him at the fire hall. He came on our show one time. I mean, just
opening the Clean Comedy Club where you had to ride your bike there.
Yes. And we have a friend who was selling Cokes out of a trash can or whatever. Yeah, that was There's a lot.
Mm-hmm. The thing he said to Robert Schimmel's brother when he wrote him the note about after he died, your brother was a dick. I mean, anyway, there's thousands of things. Anyway, let's take a break. Rob and Joe Show. Be right back.
Hi, this is Dan Nainan, and you're listening to The Rob and Joe Show.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, when you told me how good it was, I was upset that I didn't want to watch it because I was mad that I didn't, interview with this guy. But at least I got on there, some tweets or whatever, some interviews.
We're in there because some things I even forget about. We went on the Mike O'Mara show and we talked about him. I forgot about that. There's video of that.
There are people in the comedy world that probably know us, that through that more than anything. Not that we've had some huge reach that we would be known for anything.
What I'm the most known for is fighting with Tom Arnold and Dan Nainan.
Yes, it's probably true. You think they know about you fighting with Sarah Symington on 98 Rock? That's
Nah,
more
probably
me.
not. Probably not.
Back to the show.